All righty, everybody. Welcome to episode 10 of No One Asked Us. Very excited today. We've got Steve Wynands, the co-founder and CEO of RETR, where he helps loan officers win over real estate agents using actual data instead of donuts. When he's not building mortgage tech, he's hooping on one leg, literally, he tore his Achilles, or lobbying for safer sidewalks like a true dad activist. Basically, part founder, part baller, part PTA superhero. Steve, thanks for joining us. That was written by ChatGPT, by the way. And every version, because I had to condense it a little bit, all it could talk about was what an amazing dad you are. So the internet believes that you are like the superhero of a father. Can you give me a little bit of insight on why does ChatGPT think you are the PTA superhero?
Oh man, probably because I'm like very in your face about trying to get my kids a safe sidewalk so they can bike and walk to school on. Because it's a very public thing trying to lobby against your local politician who refuses to do anything. And so I've mailed letters out there. I've done things, and so thank you, ChatGPT, for recognizing that.
There you go. All right. Awesome. I love it. Where do you live again, Steven?
Reston, Virginia, Northern Virginia, like
Oh, okay.
22 minutes
All right.
outside DC.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Steven,
Politicians in Virginia, get it together.
next time the answer to why does ChatGPT think you're a great dad, you just should just say, because I am.
It's like because I built ChatGPT and it calls me daddy.
It's trained off of his inputs there, Andrew. He's like, I'm a great dad.
Steven has been fine tuning ChatGPT and we didn't even know it. So, Steven, if you don't mind, tell us, how did you end up? We joke every week, that no one as a little kid is like, I really want to grow up and be in mortgage tech. So tell us a little bit about, like, how did you end up in mortgage and, mortgage tech specifically?
Yeah, super accidentally to get into mortgage or real estate at all, but my whole life has always been about tech. Like ever since I was a little kid, like 4 years old, I was playing with like command prompt, all those fun things on there. And like I remember logging into the internet when it was a dial-up and you had to use Telnet to pine into things.
Oh
I
yeah.
always knew I was going to be in tech. And the thing is, in Northern Virginia, we're so close to the government here. So what everyone does is you go to college, you get a government job or a government contracting job, you have kids, you build up your retirement portfolio, you send them to college, boom, everything repeats. That's exactly how it works. And I was so far along that path that I'd gone through the government consulting world, and I was like, you know what? I do want to make ChatGPT proud, and I do want to be the best dad ever. And so I went and got a government job so that I could just work 9 to 5 and then be there all nights, all weekends for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I had that government job that was happening. I was all the way on that path, building up my retirement account. I calculated how to retire early, and then boom, the accident happened. I bought and sold my first homes, started understanding the world of real estate and mortgage, and I was like, I want to make it better. And so where we are today was a 15-year journey of me just trying to make real estate better and then understanding how real estate actually works and then understanding that mortgage is such a huge part of this home buying process, but loan officers don't get enough credit for what y'all do. I was like, I need to fix that. I need to make it better. And I need to make everything better for realtors, for mortgage people, for borrowers. And so that's how this idea of RETR was born, not knowing anything else out there existed in the mortgage tech space.
So tell us a little bit about what RETR is, the problem RETR is trying to solve.
Yeah, the number one problem it tries to solve is when the pandemic market was winding down. At this point, I'm a top real estate agent doing like 20 high volume deals a year. Pandemic market winds down. I get a ton of calls from loan officers, one after another. You remember, like, loan officers were not returning any phone calls or text messages for like a year because loans were falling from the sky. And then all of a sudden one day I get 5 calls in a row. And after the third one, I'm like, holy crap, I get it now. I, Mr. Realtor, am the number one source of income for loan officers. And all these people are calling with the same value proposition. And what is that? Donuts, right? So coffee, lunch. And I'm just like, I don't need coffee or lunch. I need better ways to do my job. And I'm like, I get it. Like, you're trying to create a new business relationship because your business is dying down. You need relationships with people like me. You're not going to build a business relationship without providing like meaningful value. Donuts aren't it. I've got enough. Like, you can look at this right here. I don't need any more. And so I was like, I know exactly what realtors need. I'm going to build that and give it to loan officers. So that's how the idea of this thing came along. So what's that value? Everything that I needed as a top realtor to do my job and do it really well, I was like, I'm going to build that, give it to loan officers so that they can provide real assistance to realtors.
Can you explain what is RETR actually? So if I'm a loan officer, sell me on RETR.
Okay, so the number one two use cases that people use it for, hey, let's go look up realtors, look up their production, build a list of top performing realtors so that I can export them out and cold call them or cold email them. That's what people think about. But the real value, we think, comes from using that data in ways that help realtors win. So RETR actually stands for real estate track record. And what that is, it's pretty much a resume of what a realtor's done and what a loan officer's done. And so we can have a whole different podcast on this one, but with this resume that you can print out of a realtor and a loan officer's work, you can give that to your realtor partners. They can submit it with their offers, and it helps build so much trust. It shows like, hey, this realtor's done this work, this loan officer's done this work. Trust them; they know what they're doing. Pick their offer. That's the trick that I use in this very competitive Northern Virginia area. There'd be like 12 offers on a house. I'd always be top 3 because I built that trust. Right. And so I would win bidding wars without being the top offer because using that kind of data to back you up and to build that trust, I wanted to give that to all the loan officers to use with their realtor partners so they could win and help their borrowers.
And imagine that helps people trying to recruit LOs who have all these, it seems like 10 million a month is the magic lie. Like every loan officer does 10 million a month. And then can you go look and say, actually, you did 10 million last year.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've learned so much about these use cases, and that's why we love staying close to our customers, talking to them, getting their feedback and building more stuff. That's ever since I was a little kid, all I'd like to do is build stuff.
Steven, so it sounds like there's the use case of real estate agent and loan officer, but then there's also some other use cases. I mean, I've seen some wholesale lenders get excited, and I think they're using it to go find brokers to sign up and things like that too.
Yeah, that's actually where we got our first start too. We got a lot of love for the broker community. Because you guys want to hear how this started with the broker community?
Yep, 100%.
So I'd been building startups like on 19 weekends with my buddy Steve. His name is Steve as well, for a long time. And if you look at my LinkedIn, you'll see like, oh, this company, that company. What is that? What is that? Like, what we learned from those companies. And as we decided to build RETR, we said, you know what? Instead of trying to perfect this and then sell it, let's just go talk to real people who might use it. And I did a Google search. I said, all right, mortgage events, DC. And I was like, oh, there's one next week. There's this mortgage road show in Columbia, Maryland. That's like 2 hours away. Sure, let's just go drive and show people what we've built. And so it turns out that was AIM, the Association of Independent Mortgage Experts. So I didn't really know much of the difference between brokers, wholesale, retail. At that point, I just went there. I was like, hey guys, can I show you some stuff? And I got some input, and so much of that input I received was from brokers because I was meeting with brokers, and I learned that broker channel and how that all works. And then I learned about the wholesale channel and wholesale lending. And so that's where I learned like, oh, we're looking for these features to help understand brokers, which wholesale lenders are they using, who's got the market share in that office, and show me the patterns of the fidelity between lenders. And so this is how I learned about that world and why so much of our product is built to help the wholesale channel.
Nice. So I look on your website. It looks like it's easy to just go in there and just do a free trial. Is that kind of your go-to-market strategy? Is just go try it?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm an engineer. I accidentally got into sales with real estate. But my thing is, I just love building stuff. I'm not here to sell you something. I would just want you to see the value for yourself and not put a lot of friction up in place. And so it's like, you know what? Yeah, log in, try it out for a few weeks. And if you don't like it, cancel it. If the data sucks, if the user interface sucks, if you don't get any value out of it, cancel it. We don't want to be an unused gym membership. And you know what else? how about this? We know how times are tough right now. Take the data that we have, go build your list, go close some deals, and just remember, after you close those deals, we're here and we're still here to help. So hopefully you come back and you get more value from us than any dollars that you ever give to us. That's the philosophy.
So,
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
no, Andrew, go.
No, I was just kind of curious. Do you see more of your client traffic on the enterprise side or on the individual like LO side?
Just on a pure like count, you're gonna be looking more at individuals coming in, and then what ends up happening is they tell their friends, and then their managers are eventually like, "Hey, what the heck is this thing that all of you are using?" And then their managers talk to their VPs, and then the enterprise is coming from there. But if you're just looking at usage, it's generally individuals coming in and trying to get more loans.
Nice, that's great.
Where are you getting all this data from, Steve? Or is that one of the secret sauces?
Yeah, well, there's so much secret sauce going in here, but part of that is like sourcing the data. There's a handful of data providers out there on a national level. And so instead of just like buying one to save money, what we do is we buy multiple so that we have redundant data and extra coverage. That's probably something from my background as an engineer. When our customers are like, "Hey, you're missing data here," I'm like, "Tell me more." And I'll like go into there. I'm like, "You're right. Why are we missing it?" And then I try to go scour and find like these really obscure sources. So there's big national sources, there's regional sources, and then there's trying to figure out how to put it all together, because when you have all those signals, like you're trying to deduplicate things. And so part of that secret sauce is not just sourcing the data, but figuring out how to combine it and match it all up. Because as you can imagine, when you're looking at a ton of data sources, they're not all gonna be like, "Oh, hey, here's that unique identifier that you're gonna need all over the place." It's a mess.
I'm curious, how accurate and how alike has the data been between these providers, like national versus regional? Are they like, "Hey, I see 14 units, and the other guy says 13." Are we seeing drastic differences?
Yeah, so you're gonna see differences just based on the way the data comes in, because I don't know how much do you know about how like the mortgage data, for instance, comes in. Are you familiar
Let's just
with it?
assume that we don't know what we're talking about.
Okay, so if you ever attended a settlement, those documents get signed and then they get recorded with the county. Sometimes there's the electronic recording. Sometimes it's physical. But what happens is that data gets into a computer, and then someone's got to go get that information from the computer into another system that they can then send to us. And part of that, some people are going to actual courthouses, writing things down by hand, going home to their computer, typing it up, and then importing it and exporting it to a system before it gets to us. And so when we look at a bunch of these, you can see how human error comes into play here. And so some people will copy and paste a bunch of stuff where they're like, "Oh yeah, here's I copied 500 loans out from the county." And instead of like going one by one and typing things correctly, you'll see someone like, "Hey, you just copied and pasted the same thing 20 times. And I know that's wrong. This data source gave me the right ones, and this other data source corroborates it," so that we look at all these signals and we're like, "Okay, we have high confidence that it's this one." So yeah, it varies.
Steven, so do you, in those situations, are you guys the ones managing like data quality, or do you go back to them, the data sources, and tell them, "Hey, you have the wrong data. This needs to be corrected"? How do you handle that sort of like error and reconcile that?
Yeah, sometimes when we see like huge, massive problems from a data provider, we will tell them. But when there's little things here and there, and it's like we know like it's too much work to try to trace back, then we'll just fix it ourselves and just make that part of our secret sauce. Because otherwise, if we went back and reported every single thing we found wrong, like that's another like 2 full-time jobs.
Right. That's true. Another question I have, which I've seen some of your videos on LinkedIn where you're like screen sharing and just like, I guess, talking off the dome, sharing whatever new features you guys have built. But I think one thing I've seen praise for is your guys' UI. So how have you like kind of like thought about user experience, design, and like interface?
Yeah, so this was started by myself and my co-founder. We're both full stack engineers, but also like we've been where you are. I sold a bunch of real estate. I've understood the mortgage process, and so we talked to a lot of users, and we're like, all right, if we're loan officers trying to do these things, how would we approach it? And so, we are just very thoughtful from end to end about how we design things, and we incorporate feedback from our customers and users on that. And it's all built like it's all custom as well.
Well, I thank you, PK, for being our Gen Zer here with bringing off the dome to no one asked.
I'll teach you all the other phrases too.
So the $1 million question, I'm sure Mace has as well, is, there's a lot of people in this space, right? Obviously, what is it that you feel like is the thing, like that one core thing that really sets RETR apart from the competitors within the space?
I think it's going to be innovation, and as part of that, also speed. So innovation and speed together.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, I think one of our competitors recently just like, I don't know, PK, I don't know if there's a good Gen Z way to say this. This is probably the old school way. Like someone made a dig at us. Saying,
I don't think I've heard that phrase in a while.
Okay.
I feel so old on this show, by the way. God.
Someone made a dig at us saying that we built our system in a weekend. I'm like, you know what? I think they think that's an insult, but I think that's pretty cool if like a couple of guys in their basements can figure it out in a weekend. I'm like, I feel pretty good about this.
And it took you 2 years.
Yeah.
What does that say about you?
Yeah, so that innovation and speed, like we're always innovating. We're never satisfied. And then something that's come out very recently too that I didn't know mattered much is I didn't know as much about the industry, but a lot of these companies are owned by like other mortgage companies. And as part of that, you got to be careful about, like, do you have access to the data forever? Is your data secure and private, or is someone watching you? Because there's been some curious things happening, but I can say that we're 100% bootstrapped. And so we're here to take care of you, and we're not here answering to some boards. We're just trying to say, like, all right, what do you need? Does that make sense? Can we build it? Let's go build stuff. Back to innovation and speed. Let's go.
Okay, so given that, Steven, if you were to start over with RETR again, is there anything you would change or do differently?
God, I wish I would have started this so much sooner.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, there you go. That is a good answer. So, we always talk about the fact that not all companies need AI, right? It's become a little bit too buzzwordy, right? But with that being said, are there any use cases of how RETR is using AI, either you and your co-founder within the company itself, or within the product itself, or visions that you see in terms of using it within the product?
Yeah, this is one area I wish I could dive more into, and we're going to, but we've gotten started. And probably the juiciest one, the use case of AI that we have for people listening is on the LO recruiting side of things. So one thing that we've done is, this isn't even released yet, but we've analyzed loan officers. So we've taken like your social media profiles that we could find, put them through AI processing, and figured out what your disc profile is and your ocean profile. And so we can tell recruiters like, hey, if you're gonna call Mace, like, here's how to talk to him. Here's what to say. Here's what not to say. And it's like we're doing a beta on this with a few of our enterprise customers, and it's been really eye-opening, really fantastic. It's really fun.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great idea. All right, we're gonna jump in. Mike Cush had a question. Mike always has a question. Is there specific data that you guys have in the private lending world? So like DSCR, fix and flip, multifamily, away from the standard sort of agency or just straight non-QM?
Yeah, I know people can use it for this, but I'm not afraid to say, like, I know what we're great at and I know where we could use improvement. But when people are looking for this private lending investment kind of world, I think usually you're doing something like what PropStream right, or prop radar even, to finding people who are flippers and that kind of stuff. Like I flip homes myself, and so I know what you're talking about and what you're looking for, and I might start at like PropStream or Property Radar instead. Because if you're going to be using RETR, what would you do? You'd probably look for folks that are doing volume so that you could put them in an email list and cold blast them saying like, hey, did you know that we could help your investors do this or that? But it's not as targeted as you're probably looking for.
Right. No, that's great. I appreciate it. I think it's really good for companies to just to be okay and understand like we're not good at that. Or not good at it, but like that's not what we do. Right.
Yeah, I know. Even like, what is it like? So one of our, we'll call them competitors, but the Larsons, they're great guys over at Modex, and I know I see them posting a lot of things on like non-QM stuff recently, because if that's the niche they're focusing on, like maybe that's something to take a look at as well, especially when you're talking about that DSCR kind of stuff. See what they've got, and if you're looking for new build data, yeah, we have it. We've built it, and it's working really well for a lot of people. But if you want to go 3 layers deep, we know Zonda's the king there, and we're not trying to dethrone them. And so, depending on what your niche is, there's something for everyone.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's great. So we're going to shift gears a little bit away from RETR, but what is, in your opinion, the best use case of AI that you have seen recently? This could be in business, this could be personal, like consumer based, but outside of the amazing things that RETR's doing, what is an example that you've seen that you're really loving?
Well, I mean, just generally, just start with asking ChatGPT questions. It solves all of your life's problems pretty much. And so that's not super innovative or anything, but it's a game changer to just get started, get on and ask a question.
100%.
Yeah, I started using it and I was like, holy crap. It's like, this is a calculator for real life. I'm going to forget how to use my brain.
Well, no, what I think it does is, and I've been meaning to like fully read the research paper and write something on it. I just have not made it a priority. But this whole like MIT study of where like effectively it was something to the effect of like ChatGPT users are dumber, or something of that nature. And I think that's going to be the boomer, response to AI. The reality is you're opening up that bandwidth for your brain for other things, right? To be more focused on things that, because to me, it's like I go to ChatGPT and I'm utilizing it for, to get answers to questions in a much more fast fashion that I wouldn't have had in the first place, right? Like, it's a silly example, but PK and I were talking about it before you guys jumped on. Is like I have this one video game that I love playing, but I get to points in the game where I can't figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do next. And it's like I just have a thread going with GPT where I'm like, what do I do? Like, this is where I am. What do I do? Because otherwise I would have to Google it and it would take me a half an hour to figure it out. GPT is like, here you go.
I don't know if you remember. Okay, I don't know if you did the same thing I did. There's a show called Nintendo Power when I was growing up. Do you remember that one? Oh yeah. I'd wake up at like 4 o'clock and be like, all right, how do I solve this level? I hope my game that I have a problem with is on the show this weekend.
Yes, you're 100% right. Or you would have to go watch a YouTube video that did like a replay of the entire frigging level, and you're just trying to figure out one little thing. Right?
Oh, it's so satisfying these days. This is the best time to be alive.
I remember the magazines.
PK wasn't allowed to play video games as a kid.
Hey, all right. Now, since we're doing video game talk, I got to show you this. 1995 Blockbuster champion.
Oh my gosh, you were the original wizard. They made a movie about you, man.
Oh my God, Mace never ceases to surprise me with things that he's got back hanging down there.
1995. I've got a feeling he made that himself. That ink has not faded at all. He printed that himself.
Yeah.
Mike had a question earlier though. We said Zon. Did you say Zon?
So it's Zonda, spelled Zonda. That's the the leader in new build data.
New build data. Okay, there you go, Mike. Now you know. Okay, so what are some ways though at RETR that you guys like? Oh well, I guess we kind of covered that a little bit, so never mind.
Oh yeah, but that one thing that we are doing on there that's so practical is we are using the AI to just answer the chat questions. But if it ever doesn't work, don't worry. Just say like agent or help or you suck, and we're watching. So there's a human behind it.
Oh man, if the people at Anthropic could see the number of 4-letter words that we've used during development, sometimes it just feels better to type it out.
That
Oh
is
yeah.
true.
I love this question that Andrew asks a lot, which is, what is the worst piece of tech advice you've ever gotten? I love that question.
That's a good question.
Oh man. I don't even. I think usually it always comes in the form of when people are offering the tech advice about what to build and do based on the amount of money, the revenue that it could bring in. That's usually the advice that is not great, where you spend a lot of time and effort to build something that someone would pay a lot of money for, but never does because they're just never satisfied. That's just general, like the bad advice I've gotten. Like, yeah, go build that because dollar signs. I'm like, no, this is not what the customers need. So,
and no, that is a great point. Like within tech, right? It's like oftentimes it's really easy to all of a sudden also just think like, oh, I've got this really great idea, and the reality is like nobody actually wants your really great idea. And I find that especially in mortgage, right? Like you have to be really careful of what is the actual desire from the industry, and are they going to be willing to actually buy what it is that you're building for them?
I think that's like a common problem all SaaS founders run into, where it's like someone says, I'll pay you for this, but then you end up being like a dev shop for them essentially, and like you end up just over specializing your product for their reasons, and like then it's like, okay, you've just put in all this work to unlock a certain amount of revenue, but if you had just continued building the product out, could have been way bigger, served more people, and even made more money in the long term.
yeah, that's why we've learned now. It's like, hey, if you're just taking care of the customers, like if you do good things, do the right things for other good people, like the world has a way of rewarding you for it. Just do the right thing.
Steven, real quick, on the product side, I'm sure you're familiar with products like AirDNA, and you said you've done some fix and flips and things like that. So do you see there's like also an opportunity, like, or do you even see demand from customers for, because right now you're serving a lot of folks within the real estate profession, whether it's agents, loan officers, wholesale lenders, etc. Do you see a future where you guys are serving like real estate investors, like folks like yourself on the fix and flip side, trying to figure out what property to invest in, or I don't know, the millennials that are trying to like maybe buy their first investment property and things like that?
Thanks for asking, because I love having these conversations because they get me thinking and like, what could we do? And could we do something? We definitely could, but it's not even on the roadmap because we've got so many things more that we want to build for loan officers. But then your question got me thinking, like, if we do that, we're not just going to build it for the consumer. They could use it, but they're going to need expert guidance from the loan officer in order to help it make sense. Because you already know, like, oh, people see the dollars and here's the cash flow, but then they forget, oh, that cash flow requires a loan, oh, that loan has principal and interest, oh, there's also taxes and all that kind of stuff. And so I feel safer keeping it with the professional to make sure the consumers are most well served.
I see.
So we always have the guest from the week prior ask a question of the next guest. And sorry, Mason PK, I failed again to get the audio this week. But last week's guest question was, what is the number one most undervalued data point that people overlook when it comes to what you guys do?
Yeah, the most undervalued thing, I think, is RETR stands for Real Estate Track Record. It is that PDF, and not enough people use that PDF, that report, to bring that value to their real estate partners.
All right, there you go.
Like, go use it. I've made a 10-minute video about it. If you use that, you're going to be so loved by your real estate partners. A lot of people are just focused on chasing these shiny objects that they think everyone else is doing, so surface level stuff. But if you go deep, you can build everlasting relationships, and you can get what I aim for, which is loans for a lifetime, not just loans for this month, loans for a lifetime.
Well, you bring up, it's funny. You bring up an excellent point. So my wife is a psychologist, and she has a practice in Chicago, another practice here in Fort Wayne, and working with a consultant recently and talking about referral partners. So in the psychology world, you always need referral partners, different doctors' offices, right? Because primary care may be like, all right, you need to see a therapist. Oh, I've got this person. And what is interesting, and you're making me realize, it applies so much to LOs, which is what the consultant told my wife. Is she was like, just pick 4 or 5 doctors' offices, and that's it, and just go deep with each of them. Stop trying to. And I wonder how many LOs out there are trying to capture every single real estate agent in their market.
Oh my gosh.
Rather than saying, you know what, I'm going to go deep on these 6 real estate agents, and I'm going to provide the absolute maximum value to these 6, rather than trying to capture these 30 where I can't really give deep value to them.
Yeah, I think you answered your own question from last week, because that is another huge one. Like, people always say, oh, let me build a list of 300 realtors that I can cold call. I'm like, and I asked them, like, do you really want to cold call a few hundred people, or would you rather have a warm introduction? The answer is warm, right? And so how do you do that? Like, that data point's in there. If you just go into your own realtor relationships, you'll say, like, okay, you're trying to canvas 300 random people that have never heard from you ever. And so it looks like if I go through your entire history of your last 10 years, you've worked with 218 realtors who know you, might like you, and might trust you. Why don't we start there? Oh, look, you've got 25% of this person's business. How do we get you to 50? And then, oh, you've got already 80% of this person's business. What are you doing to use that influence that they have in their office and get warm introductions there? And people are like, oh, I never thought about that. I'm like, yes, it's all there. Like, please use that. Use your relationships. Stop trying to go after random people. Although it is smart to keep maybe some rock stars, but also some new talent, because the real estate agents, they last like 7 years, so you got to be ready to have some people you're nurturing up to get to that next level that they're trying to achieve, which is those top producers.
That's an excellent point. Like, I come from the capital markets side, and just as an example, this would have been back in the 2010, early 2010s, was when, after the market crash, and you started seeing new entrants pop up. And I remember PennyMac and Bank of Manhattan were 2 popped up, and nobody knew who was going to win. Like, nobody knew, you know what I mean? It was like they were both, pretty small at the time. Obviously, nobody talks about Bank of Manhattan. Everybody talks about PennyMac. So we know who ended up, winning from that race, right? But a lot of times people need to think about the fact of, like you just said, hey, let me get people when they're early, because that's not who people are necessarily going to chase, right? They may be lower producers, but maybe it's their first year as a real estate agent, right? If you can cozy up to those people who there's not a lot of competition to grab that early stage real estate agent who's probably going to really appreciate, the attention and the help that you bring to them. So.
Yeah, and that's why one of the things we're doing too, a feature that we have, is not treating people as numbers, but treating them like people. And so one thing we've done is we've brought in a bunch of realtor Instagram accounts. So you can see them, their personality, and see, like, hey, I might vibe with this person. PK, vibe is a good word, right? I did well. All right,
Yes,
you might
yes,
vibe
sir.
with this person and connect them that way. But sorry, I know Mike actually watching live, so I got to answer some of those questions for Mike, who asks, "Is more of your business from lenders or brokers?" So pretty much all of our business is from loan originators. Very few on the lending side. There are some, but not as much as loan originators and mortgage companies and branches, whether it's wholesale or retail, all part of that. And Mike, I also appreciate the input that you gave me about how the sale is in us to convert people to understand that the features that we're building are benefits to their business. So thanks for making that point. And that's actually something that we're working on right now. We talked about that product motion earlier, how it's a free trial. So it's called, what I've learned is it's called PLG, product led growth, where people just come in, they figure it out, they get the value themselves, and the business grows from there. But what I'm learning is we build so much stuff all the time, going back to what makes us different, innovation and speed, that you commented that you see that those Loom videos of me talking about the features off the top of my dome. And what I see now is like we need to create a more established curriculum. Y'all are busy. We're always doing new things. We got to have an option for loan officers to say like, oh, I want to do this kind of work. How can you teach me? Instead of a one-on-one chat, like let's get you in
Yeah.
a class with 30 other loan officers, right? Exchanging ideas.
Yeah, I was thinking almost like playbooks, but like it could also just be like webinars you guys are running to LOs that convert them into users as well. So here's how you do it. Here's a free trial. Go do it, and then eventually you become a customer.
Or
You're
Discord,
hired. Let's go.
or Discord, or a Discord channel. Like
Oh,
that's one of
yeah.
the things. Like I've heard from some tech companies who have actually been really extremely successful with it, is creating like a Discord channel where their users can actually come in and ask questions. And there was one company, I can't remember the name of it, but like their CEO and co-founder doesn't ask me anything like every Sunday night from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock or something of that effect, right? Where it's like kind of an open door thing where people can come in and learn how to use the product better. So
Yeah, I love that you said Discord too. That I don't know that a lot of people are gonna know what Discord is, but it is awesome.
Okay, fine. I don't know. Is there another platform?
No, Discord is awesome.
No,
I like Discord.
Discord is great, but I was like, Andrew knows how to use Discord.
Yes, the old guy knows how to use Discord. You don't want to know why here, I'll tell you. It's embarrassing why I know how to use Discord. When my kids were little, they were like super into Pokemon Go, right? It was like all the rage. And so then my now oldest son, or my oldest son, who obviously no longer plays Pokemon Go, but there were all these Discord channels where you could like join in the battles and whatnot. And so like he always he started joining all these Discord channels. And this was my thing at the time to connect with my kids was Pokemon Go. Like we would like drive around and like he would, oh Dad, we got to go downtown for these battles today. And they'd have them all up on the Discord channel. So yeah, Mace,
Good memory.
Dude, picking up good dad tips from Andrew as well.
Now I know Discord. Now I just wakeboard all the time because that's how they traded Pokemon Go for wakeboarding. So it worked out well.
Can you touch on that? What data point, Steven? Elaborate. You said real estate agents last about or average 7 years. Can you explain? Can you double click on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, like what is it like? Over half of real estate agents don't make it past their first year, and then they're all pretty much gone after 7 years.
Oh.
Yeah,
interesting.
The average lifespan, career lifespan of a realtor is not terribly long.
I did not. I assumed I knew that a ton of them drop off after the first year, right? Because the reality is being a real estate agent or insurance sales or whatever, you got to take a couple of years of not very good money until you can, really find your groove. But I'm very, very surprised to see that there's a high drop off after 7 years.
Well, here's the thing. You all know this job, it's 24/7. Loan officers, at least, you can be at your desk, but realtors, I tell everyone, it's the most family unfriendly job anyone can have. You're on call 24/7 because when do people buy houses? Nights and weekends, right? And so it's kind of it's not great unless you build the right systems and structures, the teams underneath you.
Right.
You're not going to last very long.
Well, that's a funny thing that you talked about the time, Andrew. I agree with you. I'm used to thinking like, we know those realtors that have their pictures on their business cards from 15 years ago, and you meet them in person. I'm like, whoa, come on, man, you got to update that picture.
It's like, let me give you a good use of AI. Here, take this photo.
Yeah. So jump back over to the tech. What is one tool right now that you cannot live without? And you can't say ChatGPT.
No, I can't say ChatGPT. You can't say your phone. I mean, okay. Laptop. It's so boring. Like, what is
our favorite piece of software?
I mean, it really is Discord right now. Like, and if you guys don't know, so Slack, totally unoriginal. Like IRC, ICQ, everything existed before, but Slack, I don't like Slack. It's not great for remote work. I don't like it. But what is awesome is Discord, because Discord has these voice channels, and so I'm happy to give away the secret sauce. Any of our competitors listening right now, how are we so fast? How do we innovate so fast? It's because we're always constantly talking to each other, and one of the ways we can do that is Discord has these voice channels. Andrew, I don't know if you use them, like when you're in the Pokemon Go battle. Oh man, all right, then you missed out.
Oh, the voice is where the real value is. Oh yeah.
So you missed out like on half the value of Discord, but so working remotely, it feels like we're all in the same room because we're in our voice channels. And what you can do is, like, if you were in my Discord server right now, you could jump into Steven's voice channel and you can just start asking me questions. You say like, Steve, are you there? Can we talk? Like, boom, that's it. And so we're always there, like jumping into each other's rooms, talking with singles, groups.
How's that different from a huddle?
That's what I was gonna say. Slack has Huddle.
Dude, Huddle came like way after. So
okay. The problem with Slack, this is the problem I have, right? Like, I've wanted to get away from Slack, but it's so difficult to get away from Slack because I've got so many other companies that have channels with us. And so it's like it's hard to get, like, there's actually a new company out there called Roam. Did you see them at they were at the gathering?
Yeah, we're gonna test that out pretty soon too. John, their CMO, just messaged me saying a new feature was ready, so we're gonna test drive it.
And it looked really cool, but then I was like, but I'm like, I have a channel on my Slack with Mason PK. I've got a channel on my Slack with 2 other startups that I'm helping. I've got my own startup which has advisors and some other people that are in Slack. So it's like getting away from Slack just seems so difficult.
Yeah,
honestly, I like Slack. I have no issues with it.
Did we leave? Did we lose?
Well, of course, PK. I'm just kidding. I do wish that Slack would enable a channel so one of the things that Discord has is there's just a voice channel sitting there, and if you hop in it, anybody can just go in there, just click it really fast. So people just kind of sit there. I don't know if you've been in a huddle before and people leave and you don't hit leave, it just starts playing music.
No.
I
also don't. Steven? I think we might have. But also on Discord, I feel like there's just all these like annoying notifications, and like I just remember in the past I would have to turn everything off. Whereas Slack, I feel like it's nice and clean.
Yeah, I've had to do a lot of work on my notifications with Slack though, too, to be like, stop talking to me about this.
I just don't. I just largely don't even have any notifications on Slack, which maybe it's a bad thing. I always love it. Like Tim, my co-founder, has it perfectly broken down, which is, if you need me quickly, text me. If it can wait a few hours, Slack me. And if it can wait at least a day, email me.
That's actually pretty smart.
Yeah.
And I love that from that perspective. So I'm going to swap everything around. All right, Steven had to jump to his phone, maybe? What happened here?
Yep. It's crazy thunderstorms here. Knocked out my electricity.
Oh, I was wondering. You went like all dark there for a second. Wait, what happened? Did I just lose everybody?
No, I'm right here.
No.
Oh,
no,
it
we're
was
all
so weird. My screen all of a sudden was only Steven. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. We got all sorts of technical issues. Okay, can we jump into my favorite topic? And it's just because I like to give Mace shit about it every single week. You know what it is. Steven,
Yep.
what is your take on vibe coding?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good start, but I mean,
Do you?
I enjoy it. It's cool. I see what people are doing on it, but are you gonna go enterprise grade? What do you think,
Vibe
Andrew?
coding for enterprise grade? No. I'm going to go with no.
Yeah.
See, you have to separate
Look,
what is considered vibe coding and then using AI to code. So I think that needs to be a clear definition. Because I mean, I've got products right now making healthy amounts of 1,000+ loan decisions a day that were built by almost purely AI.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you go to creditdirect.com, we're the decisions behind
Yeah,
that,
I
and
mean-
that was all built with AI. I think maybe 10 lines of code were written.
On what?
If you go to creditdirect.com, that's another one of those Andrew didn't know Mace did that kind of things. But we did the decisions behind that, about 1,000 debt solutions a day.
Is it what did you do? The check your rate?
No, whenever you go in there, you get a soft pull and you get loan offers, and it connects to the Experian API, and we do some loan decisioning there. That was all built with AI.
Right, there you go. I guess I'm wrong, Steven.
Well, no, but then I do think there's the vibe coding aspect, and the reason I'm just drawing this out, Andrew, because it looks like Steven froze. So that's why I'm kind of drawing this out. But I do think, if you're just like, make this calendar app that does this little thing, like if you do too high level, it's just going to be like, all right, how do you deploy that? How do you still have to have a lot of knowledge to be able to make this.
Yeah, 100%. I think there needs to be some sort of a differentiation level, right? Like it's very different, to your point, if I've got a seasoned engineer who's utilizing AI to write code for something is very, very different from what I define vibe coding as, which is vibe coding is this concept that you can just give, cursor or whatever a prompt, and all of a sudden you're going to have an app, in 2.5 minutes, right? Or some SaaS application. You still got to have somebody who's looking it over.
I thought it was really interesting here what Matt said about what they did in Encino with the experimenting with it, and they were like the top 10% people of his development staff, the best developers were the ones who actually got use out of it. Everybody else had actually hindered.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting.
Yeah, I love that people can just get an idea and get it built. Like, and if that creates that curiosity to help them take that next level and improve upon that knowledge, like I love that it's opening up that world that people didn't have access to before.
Yes, but I will still stand by the fact that I cannot go use AI to build enterprise grade software.
Yet.
All right. We'll see. Oh no, Steven.
Look,
Okay,
send help. Guys, send help.
We need to start a GoFundMe for a generator for Steven. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're
That'll be the most
watching,
legendary thing that's happened so far on this.
please Venmo Steven some money to get a generator.
I hear voices. They're
The
oh my
zombie
gosh.
apocalypse-
Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
the zombie apocalypse started during an episode of No One Asked It. I would love to see.
Well, this is a pretty fun live one. Have you guys
No,
ever had?
this is the
Has this
first-
happened live
this is the
before?
first, man. I
Well-
appreciate it.
While we still have
All right, we're outside now.
Steven, Andrew, let's hit him with the. Do we know who the next
right.
week's guest is, or do we want to
Well,
ask?
that was yeah, it's a good point. That was actually actually we have Jake Vermillion from Mortgage Champions is on next week. Do you know you know Jake, right, Steven?
Yeah, we hung out at a few events.
So for Jake next week, what question would you like us to ask on your behalf?
Okay. Like, I know he's always talking to a lot of people at conferences, on stage, and coaching things. And I want to know, like, what's one question you wish you could delete from all of your customers and clients? Like, never ask me this question again. Stop it with this question.
All right, I love it. That's actually a really good idea. What's I So I asked this question a lot, and this is really open to everyone. But any like novel use cases that you guys have come across with GPT recently, or whatever, like Claude, Gemini. Sorry, GPT claimed the throne. It will always be GPT.
Well, I mean, for what we're doing, like coding, a lot of times we have a lot of complex tables, and sometimes when we're stuck, ChatGPT will actually solve really complex SQL queries for us.
Oh, interesting. Mace, you got any?
The most recent use cases would be it's another one using it for my daughter with like making a cartoon of me, my wife, and her.
That's a good one.
I don't know if you guys have played with Manus. That one's really sick.
I didn't get a chance to look at Manus. Can you actually? This will be great. Can you give us the 2-minute breakdown on Manus, because you are clearly very hyped on this
Yeah,
platform.
so what I just basically I gave it a research prompt and I wanted to like go get a bunch of data, put it together, organize it, and um and I just gave it like an Excel file or sorry, not even an Excel file. Or yeah, it was an Excel file I curated, and I asked it, I'm like, go research each of these prospects and give me a description, rank all of them based on my fit of the company, and it like opens up like a web browser. It opens like you can see it like doing work on like a virtual machine, and like gathering all this research, and then it puts it into like it does all of it for you. It is expensive in terms of like credit, so like I paid $20 and I was done with it within like 5 hours.
I
So-
I love the amount of time it saved you versus the expensive price. Like we're already definitely getting spoiled now.
Yeah, if I had if I let's say I hired like a VA to do this task for me, it would have cost me at least $100 in just like paying them, but like at least 5 hours of me like making sure they're doing the task properly. You know what I mean? And that's like the annoying part I hate doing. It's like making sure they do it properly. But with this, it's like, and I like for example, I noticed in the Excel file that I gave it was missing 2 columns, and it was about to start writing code so it could add the columns. And so I'm like, stop. I went and added the 2 columns myself and put it in there to save it some more credits, and that helped. It just like was like, all right, cool, my columns are here now. I can just go in and like fill it up.
It is interesting though. Is like the only thing I wonder about with AI to that point is especially in a lot of these applications is when does it end up being a race to the bottom on price? I mean, really, when you think about it, right? Is like, I mean, what I get out of GPT for $20 a month is absolutely insane. And I heard somebody like talking about like, oh, well, OpenAI will eventually raise that price. And I'm like, but can they? Like, I mean, there's a decent, Meta's going to, maybe Meta doesn't catch up exactly to them, but Meta is clearly, investing more. I think Meta's now, their CapEx on AI is higher than anybody else out there, including Google and Microsoft. And they're doing an open source model, right? So it's like, are you running the risk of creating some of these AI native businesses, particularly in the consumer space, right? Like a Manus, like how quick until someone produces that for just cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and you eventually just get priced out completely. I don't know.
Have you guys used Operator from GPT?
No, I can't bring myself to pay $200 a month.
So I think this is the alternative. Like it's $20. Pay for I give it a shot for $20. I think it's worth it. Give it a task. I think it's essentially the entry level price for a product like Operator. But eventually, all of that stuff I think will come down.
Well, and I think a lot of it, like, Operator, for instance, like, I think eventually we'll start to see it all combined, right? Like, I mean, Altman came out and basically said, GPT-5 is coming and it's going to replace everything. Like, if I remember correctly, they're taking all the models off of GPT, and they're going back to just one model, right? And that being it. So on a consumer side, like Manus is a great example, at what point in time does OpenAI basically have a Manus-like product built directly into GPT-5 that I pay $20 a month for? We shall see.
Andrew, I'll tell you some of the other stuff I did with it after a call.
Well, anybody who made it this far who wants to join the Nerding AI Slack channel, hit me on LinkedIn.
Yes, we do have a Slack channel where I am the dumbest person on it, and if you would like to join it, we would love to have you there. No, really, Steven, I am. But I appreciate it. And my engineers hate me because I'm always like, have we tried this? Have we done this? PK said you should do this. They're like,
so it all starts.
What on earth are they doing? All right, we got a couple of minutes left. Mace PK, do you have any other pressing questions?
Well, I guess Steven, can you hear us still?
Yeah.
I guess, like, Steven, was any? Let's give you the floor and plug RETR and what you're working on next and how people could get started.
Thanks so much for having me here, guys. Sorry for this craziness, but hopefully the storms aren't too loud back there. Loud thunderstorms, and I'm getting bit by mosquitoes out of my front porch. But you all are worth it. I'll deal with this later. But yeah, thanks for giving me a chance to be on here. And if anyone wants to take a look at mortgage and real estate data, production data for realtors and loan officers, and you haven't tried RETR yet, like, please try out the demo, try out the trial, or reach out to us and we'll give you a personalized demo. We've got so many more things coming, and we want to hear from you about what will make it better. Like, right now, we're building this automated home value report. We're going to work on something to nurture your prospective borrowers that might just be renters right now, but there's so much more to do. If you tell us what you need, we may just build it. So try it out. Check it out.
There you go. And I will tell people out there, I mean, Steven's one of the nicest people in the mortgage and mortgage tech space. So I highly recommend follow him on LinkedIn, reach out. I have a feeling he definitely is the type who replies to everyone. So Steven, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time, especially with the storm chaos that you have going on in the background. Hopefully the power gets on soon. And we got to get you a generator out there.
Let me know where the GoFundMe page is set up.
Absolutely. We will. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you next week with Jake Vermillion from Mortgage Champions.
All right. Bye, everyone.